Everyone, let me just share my screen real quick. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So my name is Arham. I'm a career ambassador at the CPDC office. I've been working here for a little bit, and uh, I'll be giving like a basic introduction of the career services office and what we do. So whether you're just getting started, you're still exploring your options, your areas of interest, or or if you're making progress on your resumes, cover letters, and even networking. Or lastly, if you're just finishing up, you're looking for graduate school options, searching for jobs, or need help negotiating. We are here to help you out wherever you are in that big journey. So we at the CPDC want to help you figure out your next steps in your career journey, which would be validating and meaningful to you, especially because like it's your career. We are not here to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. We are here to basically empower you into making the right decisions and maybe help hopefully be a guide in that case. So we have a variety of services. We can help you with resume reviews. We can do cover letter reviews. We have a whole bunch of career coaches that are trained just to help you out in your journey. So basically, those are some of the services we offer. And this semester, we are fully online and we offer all of those services. This semester, it's all online. Maybe in the future, when everything hopefully comes back to normal, you can find us in SSB 350. And these are our emails. I hope you can see it down here. If you need help with anything or you have any more questions, feel free to shoot us an email on there. Does anyone have any questions about any of that? All right. I guess I'll give it back to you. Let me stop sharing my screen.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, Arham. All right. So I can go ahead and share my screen, Rachel, if that.
Cool.
Okay. And share screen. All right. Can you all see this? Okay, I'll take that as a yes. All right, so today we're going to be talking about communicating your community engagement experience. Just for some quick intros, Rachel, do you want to
I'm
go
Rachel.
first?
I'm Rachel. Hey.
All right, and then I'm Ria. I'm the advocacy issuer coordinator, and I'm a fourth year student.
Sorry, I didn't really give a.
No, go ahead. So yeah, but today we'll be talking about that. So thanks all for coming, and also thank you to Arham for giving us that little intro to the Career and Professional Development Center. We'll be also talking about some of the resources they have throughout this presentation. So let's get into it.
Okay, guys. So first, before we get like into the nitty gritty things, we're gonna do a breakout room, and we want you all to kind of think about this question. So what experience or skills or outcomes, and like all of them together, are you hoping to gain from your community engagement experience, whether that be through the Benyon Center or something that you've done in the past or something that you hope to do in the future? Like, what do you think you can get out of community engagement? Oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna go to my breakout room now.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for sharing your responses. I heard a lot of good things about like potential work with nonprofits or going into professional like med schools or just like learning leadership skills. And so lots of great responses all around. So thank you for sharing. All right, go to the next slide. All right.
Okay, cool. So for resumes, I like to think of resumes as like the snapshot of everything that is relevant to this job position that like qualifies you and makes you a good candidate and a competitive candidate. And I think a big portion of what we're talking about today, or like one thing that you kind of like bold and underline and italicize in your mind, is that community engagement is a job and it's an important aspect of like a well-rounded resume that you can take and apply to different job positions, whether it be like you're applying to grad school or you're applying to work with a nonprofit. Having spent time working with people that you normally wouldn't cross paths with in a community engagement way is really important. And also you can get tons of feedback on your resumes and your cover letters and all sorts of job application material at the Career and Professional Development Center. We have a bunch of resources at the end of this presentation to show you. I would say that you want to make sure that your resume flows pretty well. Make sure it's clear and concise what you're talking about. The first resume that you write is not like the final one. Have multiple people look it over. I have my brother look it over. He's good at getting the wording pretty good. Or someone close to you that knows your strengths and your passions, but can also tailor your qualifications and positions that you've had in the past with community engagement towards this future job that you're applying for. One thing that I have is a master resume that I can like take bits and pieces of what is relevant for the job position and make a resume for that job. Each resume for each job position is going to be different. Never use the same one. Yes, very true, Bobby Joe. It's a good way to catch any spelling errors or grammar. Read through your resume like 1,500 times, not that many times, but like 15 times to make sure that you have like the formatting is correct, because people can get kind of persnickety when they're looking at it and be like, oh, you're missing a period. Like you're not ready for this job, which I think is a little bit egregious, but that's not mine. And then under each position that you have in your resume, put like the date, obviously, and then I have 2 to 3 bullet points of action verbs and kind of present moments, never to explain what that job was and kind of gives a nudge at how that job or experience would help me in this position I'm applying for. A resume is also a good time to fluff your own feathers. So like, don't hold back. Even if you were filing stuff, you can be like, I organized and enacted an organizational system to create a synthesized and see, you can really fluff your own feathers. So yeah, even the smallest things, like they really do matter. So that's what I have for resumes. Okay, so for cover letters are kind of your snapshot of what your qualifications are from your resume, and then how those qualifications will help you in this said job position. Keep your cover letter to no more than a page. People are kind of breezing over them, especially if there's a lot of job applicants. So make sure that you write a cover letter that kind of hooks the reader in. state your interest in the job, highlight your strengths and skills and experiences that you listed on your resume, but don't reiterate your resume. More be like, I have this qualification from X job that will help me at your company because of Y. So really try and mesh together this job that you're applying for and what you've done in the past and create kind of a bridge between them. So now we'll have a little.
Rachel, can I just add one thing? Like, so I think it's, you were talking about like keywords and you called it fluffing your own feathers, but there's some, if you go through your resume, go through your cover letter, and make sure that the words that appear in the job posting also appear in your cover letter and resume. That's one easy way to make a connection between your experience and the job posting and what the folks say that they're looking for. It's also a good way to make sure that if they do run you through like a screening software or something like that, that your experience lines up with the job posting.
Good point, Bobby Joe. Especially if you're applying for like a company or something, kind of scavenge their website for what they're about, what their job is like really about, and know the website / company / organization, and then use what you learned from their posting and other resources and kind of weave that into your cover letter. So now we will have yet another brainstorm experience. So we're going to come up with a list of attributes. You could do like 2 to 3 or 4 or 5, how many you really are feeling it, that are going to describe you and your work ethic or abilities or qualifications or skills that you can put on all cover letters. So kind of like a section in your cover letter that's like, I am X, A, B, and C, and this applies to this job because of X, Y, and Z sort of thing. So now we will go into a breakout room. Maybe.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for all your responses. Hopefully that was helpful for everybody when they're thinking about things to put on your resume or cover letters that you will write. And yeah, just like Rachel was talking about with the Career and Professional Development Center, they have resources specifically for helping you all with writing those. So at the end of this presentation, there's a few slides with resources with links. There's an email from the Career and Professional Development Center that you can send your resume to have them review it. Generally, if you send it to them, they'll get it back to you in about 3 to 5 business days, depending on how busy they are. And it's free. And it's been really great for me. I've used it before. And another thing that I learned about the Career Professional Development Center is that alumni can also use it for people who are graduating soon, you can still use their services as long as you're an alumni of the U. So
I did not know that. That is so nice to know.
yeah, that's pretty sweet. Yeah.
So good. Also, really quick, there is a page on the careers and what is it? Career Services Center? Career and
Professional Development. Yeah.
So, on their site, there's a page that has sample cover letters for different fields. So if you're an engineer and you're applying for some engineering firm, there's different sorts of cover letters depending on what field. So that's also a really good resource if you're going into something specialized.
That's also true for your resume. So if you're going into a very creative job, marketing, design, something like that, like your resume, you're going to want your resume to, you don't want it to be Times New Roman, size 12 font. You know what I mean? Like you want your resume to look as creative as you are. So, yeah. But still be legible and easy to follow. So again, like using resources with folks who really know how to do this stuff well, I think is always a good idea.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Bobby Joe. All right, so next we're going to talk about personal statements and statements of purpose. So oftentimes companies that you're applying for jobs from, or maybe like grad schools or professional schools that you're applying to, will ask for a personal statement or statement of purpose. I know that the UC school system does distinguish between these two things, and so here's just like a little chart like showing the differences between them. But in general, the statement of purpose is much more oriented towards talking about the specific skills that you have and how you'll use them for the program or career that you're applying to. Whereas like a personal statement is a little bit less formal, but it talks a lot about like your motivations, like kind of like your story in applying for the school or program or the career. So just some like general tips on these is to just like pinpoint your passions and what drives you. And if you can find those and think about those and identify them, and also bring up certain experiences that you've had that shows that, that's really good and really powerful for writing those. Also, like any unique experiences that you've had can also be really good to talk about, can help distinguish you. And yeah, just kind of like connect you more with that school or that company's purpose. Also formatting. So formatting can differ based on the kinds of programs that you're applying to. Some places will specify word or character count limits. Some will specify like spacing, font size, all those things. So just make sure that when you're applying, you read through carefully, like on the website of the company or program, like what is required of you, and just make sure to follow that. And then at the bottom of this is a link that you can go to after, and that just talks more about the differences between these two like personal statements and statements of purpose. All right, and then the next part of this is we're going to be talking about LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a great tool for networking, and it'll be really good for you to like also talk about your community engagement experiences on. So some things that you can use on LinkedIn to specifically talk about community engagement are the volunteer experience section. So in this one, you can enter in like all the different experiences that you've had. You can put in the dates that you've been involved and just put in like descriptions. And on this one, generally what I've seen is that you can describe things similarly to how you would on your resume. And then the other thing that you can put in, and also this leads off from the conversation we had earlier with cover letters and just what skills you can talk about, is that on LinkedIn, you can put in skills for yourself. So something to think about is putting in skills from community engagement experiences. So that can be things like leadership or time management, or I'm trying to think of other ones, public speaking. There's just like a bunch of, and some people like are tutors through their programs. You can also put things like teaching or tutoring. And then also with skills, through a LinkedIn network, you can endorse people for their skills, and that helps bring like more credibility to people's skills that they list. So this is a really nice feature of LinkedIn where for people in your network, you can endorse other people in your network and they can also endorse you. So that's like the whole idea of the cats high-fiving. But yeah, so I think just briefly, something that I've been working on recently is just like revamping my LinkedIn page. So I will stop sharing for a second and pull that up and show you the different sections. All right, let's pull it up. I can share the screen again. All right. So on this, scrolling down to go to your volunteer experience. So basically you can put in your title of the experience that you had, where it was. So I put it with the Bendon Center, the days, and you can also put like what area it was in. So I put civil rights and social action, and just like listed out some of the things that I would maybe do also on a resume. So just like what I did as part of this position, and just things that you can kind of show that you'd want to show to like potential recruiters or employers. And then down here, there are skills and endorsements. So you can also put things from your community engagement experience over here. So for example, I put leadership and public speaking. And also a feature of LinkedIn is that if you put 5 skills or more, they will upgrade your profile to, I think, what they call a master profile. So those profiles will actually show up first when you have like recruiters or employers looking through LinkedIn. And so that's also a good thing to do if you're on LinkedIn, to put at least 5 skills on there. But that is what a LinkedIn page will look like. But yeah, I'll go back to the presentation. Oh, oops. One moment. All right.
Cool. So here we are at graduate/professional school applications. I am not applying to grad school at the moment. Ria is, but I've had some people close to me that have gone through the process in the last little bit. And the biggest thing, start early on whatever it is that you're trying to apply for. The more time that you have, the less time there is to like scrounge about and freak out about it. And also to give enough time for like letter of recs to come in, stuff like that. A phrase that I learned over winter break is strategic resume building. So even if you don't know exactly what you want to go into, having a couple of ideas about like what might sound good to you, and finding positions in that field or closely related to that field will be helpful in the long term. So if you wanted to go into environmental education, having some experience in either a garden setting or in a school, or as like even a camp counselor could help, because as I said, fluff your feathers, and you can twist and turn and mold your experiences to fit that thing. So yeah, think about how different experiences have helped prepare you for whatever specialized school you want to go into.
Yeah, one thing, oh, sorry, Ria, just really quickly, one thing I'll add for the folks who do have to write personal statements for graduate school or for professional schools. I'm not a big journaler, but I've heard the recommendation and passed it along to students that keeping a journal from your community engagement experience will be helpful when it comes time to write this, because I feel like almost every student I've talked to has gotten to their personal statement and had that moment of like, oh my gosh, what am I going to write? If you can reflect back and like look at those moments that were really meaningful for you, and like, you know, why you are in the place where you are, and, you know, what path brought you there. I think having, and I'm not just your community engagement experience, but any of the other choices that you made that like obviously have a direct connection to what you're planning to do professionally. I think having some sort of written record that you can reference in those moments when, you know, your brain shuts down because you have to do something is super helpful. So just keep that in mind as something that might also be helpful to you.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby Joe. I think that's great advice. That's something that's helped me, and something else that I also like to do that maybe takes like a little less work, but is also super helpful, is just like taking pictures where you can of things. So like I like to take pictures, and so a lot of times when I started volunteering at a certain place, I'll just like take pictures that of like different things that I want to help remember. And I think having a visual reminder of things that I've done also helps. just make sure that when you are doing that, that, you're staying within like ethical boundaries of, you know, not taking pictures of volunteers or clients or whatever. But that's also a good tool to use when you're thinking about professional or grad school applications. So I'll also speak specifically to MD med school applications, since I have been going through that process currently. So on the AMCAS application, which is the standard application for MD schools, there is a activities section where you can get up to 15 different activities, and you can classify them into a bunch of different categories. But some of the categories that are there are leadership, volunteer experience, clinical, and non-clinical. And so if any of y'all are in that boat where you're also applying to MD schools, which it sounds like a lot of you are, at least based on the breakout room that I was in, you can use this section to talk more in depth about the different experiences that you've had. So just something to keep in mind is that there are character limits on these sections. So using up as much of those character limits as you can is always a good way to do it. And then also on the AMCAS activities section, you have the option to designate up to 3 most meaningful experiences. And when you do that, you actually get extra characters to talk about each of these experiences that you designate as the most meaningful. And so, yeah, just again, like using those character limits and thinking strategically about what you want to talk about in more detail for your most meaningful experiences is a good way to go. But I think that is it. Next slide.
Okay, cool. So, final takeaways, everyone. Remember, this is just from me. Also, I put this on at like 7:10 a.m. this morning, and I was a little out of it. But treat your community engagement and leadership experience like a job, because it is a job. You applied for this, you're following through, you're just not getting paid, but you're getting paid in experience and friends. So that's also cool. And then for the 3rd time, fluff your own feathers. And I found this little dude today. So cute. Is that a puffin? Right?
I think so. Yeah. They have like the beaks. Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, and I think, yeah, I really like that phrase, fluff your own feathers, because you do really get a lot of valuable skills and experiences out of being involved in the Benyon Center in whatever ways you are. And so again, like Rachel said, just make sure to treat all this like any other job that you would have, and yeah, be confident and be proud in like what you have accomplished. And then yeah, so at the end of this, here just like the email for the resume review, some other links that we thought would be helpful for y'all to explore on your own time. It's helpful. And apart from that, I think that's it. Bobby Joe, is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I think the only thing I would add is just don't be afraid to use the resources that you have. Honestly, the University of Utah, between advisors, the Career and Professional Development Center, the Benyon Center, we're all happy to help. And if you can utilize those support networks and resources while you have them, I think it's a really smart move. So yeah, or even your community partner, like, if you're volunteering in the field that you potentially want to work in, like ask them to take a look at your resume or cover letter and just give you some professional feedback. I think that's totally reasonable to ask. Do you all have any questions or follow-up things?
Can be about anything that we've talked about so far. If you want to explore that a little bit more in depth, we are definitely open.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Ria and Rachel. Really appreciate all your efforts in getting this together today.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, thank you all for coming.